I visited 50 countries, and somehow still felt homeless inside. My name is Daniel Martins. I am 29 years old, born and raised in Brazil, and for the last 7 years, I have been living what people like to call the digital nomad life. Travel blogger, camera in my backpack, laptop in my hands, passport pages filling up faster than my heart could make sense of it all. Look, I know it sounds glamorous, and maybe from the outside it was, but from the inside something entirely different was happening. I grew up in a small town outside Sao Paulo. My mother worked in a bakery, waking up before the sun, tying her hair back with the same faded cloth she'd used since I was a kid. My father repaired motorcycles in a garage behind our house, his hands always marked with grease, his shirt always carrying the smell of metal and fuel. We were simple people, loud, warm, hungry for life, the kind of family where everyone talked at the same time and no one ever left the table without eating at least a little more. I remember being a kid, lying on the concrete outside our home, the summer heat still rising from the ground even after dark. I would stare at the night sky, imagining the world beyond our streetlights. Those stars felt like invitations, tiny doors to something bigger than anything I knew. I didn't have the words for it then, but I was already dreaming of leaving, of discovering something that felt like destiny. My family taught me honesty, humility, and that every meal is a blessing, even if it's just rice and beans. They taught me gratitude in small ways, like scraping every grain from the pot, so nothing went to waste. But they also taught me to chase opportunities, to keep moving forward, even when life pushed back. Everyone worked, everyone struggled, everyone hoped. That was our rhythm. And somehow, I grew up believing that meaning existed somewhere far away, somewhere I had to reach by leaving everything behind. So when I hit 22, I bought the cheapest one-way ticket I could find, Thailand. I told my parents I would be back in a few months. You know how that story goes. I just never stopped moving. People think being a digital nomad means freedom. The truth is, sometimes it's just running. I stayed in hostels with bunk beds that shook every time someone turned over. I filmed turquoise coastlines, shot videos of beaches and food markets, wrote blog posts about sunsets and mountaintops as if they were medicine for my soul. But every time the plane lifted off, I felt the same thing in my chest, like I was leaving myself behind again, one airport at a time. Look, I didn't realize it at first. In the beginning, movement felt like progress. Every new stamp in my passport felt like proof that I was growing. But to be honest, I started confusing motion with purpose. And the more I moved, the less I recognized myself. There were nights in hotel rooms when the silence felt heavy, like it was pressing against my ribs. Nights when the glow of the phone was the only light, and even that light felt cold. Nights when I scrolled through messages from friends back home getting married, settling down, building families, and I told myself I didn't want any of that. But deep down, it stung. Deep down, I felt like I was drifting while everyone else was anchoring. And here I was, jumping from city to city, pretending that constant adventure was the same thing as inner peace. Pretending that if I just kept moving, maybe I wouldn't have to face the things inside me that travel couldn't fix. I remember sitting on a rooftop in Istanbul, the city lights stretching endlessly in every direction, the call to prayer drifting through the air, and thinking, why am I still empty after all of this? That moment hit me harder than any long flight or sleepless night, because for the first time I admitted to myself that this wasn't a lifestyle problem. It wasn't about burnout or loneliness or needing a break. It was a spiritual one. My turning point wasn't dramatic. No lightning moment. It was quieter than that. It began in Sarajevo. I was filming a piece about the old bazaar. A call to prayer echoed across the city. Not as background noise, but like something reaching for me. The entire market seemed to pause. People slowed down. Some walked toward the mosque. Some just listened. And something in me broke open. I didn't know why. That night I searched online. Why does the call to prayer feel peaceful even if you're not Muslim? I didn't tell anyone. I kept traveling. But everywhere I went after that, Islam kept showing up. In Zanzibar, a fisherman told me, "Brother, remember God in the calm and in the storm." In Oman, a taxi driver stopped his car to pray on the roadside and invited me to just sit while he prayed. No pressure, just presence. In Malaysia, a friend I met at a cafe answered my questions without judgment, slow, kind, clear. This is where everything changed for me. Because I realized Islam wasn't what I had been told back home. It wasn't anger, it wasn't fear, it wasn't foreign, it was surrender. And I had been fighting myself my whole life. It all led me to Mecca. Before I even knew I was ready, I had been in Jeddah for a short assignment. A Brazilian brother I had met online invited me to visit Mecca, just to see. I wasn't Muslim. I wasn't planning on becoming one. But something inside me said yes. When I stood before the Kaaba for the first time, look, I don't have the vocabulary for that moment. I had traveled to more than 50 countries. I had seen waterfalls taller than buildings, mountains older than civilizations, oceans that swallowed whole landscapes. But nothing felt like this. Everything inside went quiet. No noise, no ego, no running, just truth. I felt seen, not by the world, by the one who made me. Later, in a small room next to the masjid, a teacher asked me gently, "Daniel, do you believe that there is only one God and that Muhammad is his messenger?" My voice shook when I said yes, not because I was unsure, but because it felt like coming home after being lost for years. I took my shahada that night, and when I said those words, it felt like the world exhaled with me. Life after Islam didn't get easier. It got real. I learned how to pray, how to slow down, how to be accountable. I stopped chasing the next destination to escape my thoughts. I started facing myself. I messaged my parents. I told them gently, patiently, honestly. They didn't understand at first. They were scared. But they saw I was calmer, more grounded, more myself. Travel changed too. I didn't travel to feel alive anymore. I traveled to witness God's creation. Every mountain became a reminder. Every ocean became a sign. Every sunset felt like a verse. And Mecca became a compass inside me, an inner north. I was still a digital nomad, but I was no longer spiritually homeless. If you're listening to me and feeling lost, especially in this world where everything moves fast and everyone tells you to keep up, slow down. Ask yourself why you want what you want. Ask yourself why success feels heavy. Ask yourself why the quiet moments feel uncomfortable. Look, you don't need to travel the world to find yourself. Sometimes what you're looking for is not somewhere out there. Sometimes it's the truth pulling you from the inside. And if you feel a tug toward Islam, don't ignore it. Explore it with sincerity, with humility, with honesty. A soft, thoughtful closing message. You can visit 50 countries, 100 countries, 1,000 even. But there is nothing like finding the place where your soul can rest. For me, that place was Islam. For me, that place was Mecca. And after all the miles I crossed, I can finally say, I am home.